What's up, everyone? Welcome to Mental Wealth Talks. I'm Diondre, and I'm here with
RJ.
And this is a podcast where we talk about everyday life, and we're trying to make things just a little bit better. But before we get into today's topic, we want to discuss, or at least mention, that we are how many subscribers away?
We are 418 subscribers
18
away because we're on the road to 500 and we got 82 subscribers right now. So
Yes.
rack them up.
Yeah, so leave likes, comment, share all of our videos, and then if it resonates with you, save it, watch it again. We're putting
Please.
out these videos as much as we can. Also watch our shorts, follow us on TikTok, on all of our platforms.
Shameless plug.
Exactly. And we're here to share our stories, experiences, and discuss these topics.
Yep.
So today we'll be talking about Men's Mental Health Month.
Woo.
And it's very interesting because I've never heard of Men's Mental Health Month until last year or
Just about,
this year?
yeah, pretty much.
And there's a bit of history behind it. So Men's Mental Health Month, it started in the summer of 1994 or so, in the
Okay.
1990s.
I think like in June.
Yeah, June 1994, right? And really what happened here is there was a very big emphasis on trying to bring in men's mental health when everyone was just so focused on the physical side of men, right? Shorter lifespans, men's health, but they never really considered men's mental health. So they actually
They gave us a month.
They gave us a month. They gave us just 1 month. But nonetheless, it's something, right? Because again, a lot of it is just centered around the body and not necessarily the mind. So,
Okay.
We had these shorter lifespans, as I had mentioned before.
Yep.
And, it was just something that was never thought about.
I have heard about mental health. I have, obviously, being a man myself, it was something that is not as like, here, this is healthy for you. This
Yeah.
is just kind of like, oh, take care of your body physically. So, every guy sometimes is like expected just to like work out, take care of yourself, look good, make a lot of money, take care of yourselves financially, just be a good dad, a good husband, just a good person. But they never really said, take care of yourself and have a good mental, you know what I mean? Like, it's not the same that I think that we're giving to, I don't want to single out women, but like not, or like kids, but you know what I mean? Like if a kid is going through it, they're like, oh, are you okay? Are you okay? But like after the age of 18, it's like, you're grown, bro. You'll be all right. You'll be fine.
Yeah, there's a stigma around it. We're told to kind of hold in our emotions. We're told to be tough, not cry.
Yep.
And a lot of that masks our emotions, right? So it's kind of seen as something that we don't really talk about or we don't bring awareness to. So
Why don't we talk about it? That's the real question.
I think we don't talk about it because we are, again, I think it's kind of society, right? Society has put this pressure on us as men. There's so many different requirements. Of course, you guys have seen previous videos where I've said I'm a father. So there's, certain requirements that I have to meet where I might not necessarily be thinking about mental health, or I feel like I can't really talk about my mental. I'd be seen as weak, not tough. I think it's just made up by society.
The society that men created, of
Men
course,
created,
because that's
yeah.
always the, guys created this, it's our fault. Like, and in truth, like, yeah, okay, but, we were talking about back in the day, men were like expected to do the hunting, the financial support. Again, like, just because we're bigger, stronger, bones are denser, so that means that
Yeah.
I got to risk my life. I can't worry about my mental right now because I got to feed the family. So, in that sense, it has kind of transpired down the road. Like centuries later, it's like, just think back, like what was it, like early, maybe 1900s, like men were still working. They had stay-at-home wives. Women weren't in the workforce. So guys were expected to go to work, come home, supply food, supply the bills, and then still be like, hey, how are you? How you doing, boo? Oh, hey, little Timmy, let's go throw a ball. Like, I think he just wants to sit on the couch, and like, that's why you have that classic, like, dad on the couch with the beer in his hand, and just,
with the reclining chair.
With the reclining chair, just put the TV in front, because he's like checking out, but I don't think he ever had a chance to like kind of like check in for himself, because they're expecting like, yo, I got this family on my back. Of course you created the family, you chose those things, but at the same time, like, I mean, who doesn't want that as a guy? Like, you know, you want to do that for your fam.
And who has time for that, right? To really complain.
Not I.
You know, again, like, maybe he's sitting on the couch watching TV, have a beer, but he's not there saying, man, my day was terrible. I'm just going through it. I can't take this anymore. Like, not only has society created this for men, but I think that society has created that expectation for women. Like, the woman's going to say, man, you're weak. Like, he came back home.
You need a guy that takes care of you.
Yeah, he's a mental wreck. If he can't take care, it's kind of weird, because if she's saying if he can't take care of himself mentally, he can't take care of the family.
Pretty
right?
much. He's not good for the family.
Right.
He's going to be toxic.
Exactly. So then we kind of go into, you know, why does this all matter, right? So it actually shocked me, because me and RJ was talking about this. He actually pulled up the statistic where men are 4 times more likely to commit suicide.
Whether it's the shotgun to the head, to the mouth, just it's the fact. 4 times more than women. Like, why though? We know why.
Yeah,
more effective.
What the type? What
with the type that they kill themselves? Yeah, they kill themselves more effectively in a more hostile manner.
Exactly.
Know?
So like maybe a woman where she might, you know, pop some pills and you know, just sleep it away.
Yeah.
You know, the male would maybe like get
his hands dirty.
The pew pew. And yeah, we have to say it like that, right?
Pew pew.
We're trying to get monetized here. The pew pew.
Educational purposes only.
Yes, the pew pew, and just done.
Yeah.
Like hostile, because they're holding it all in. Where, can you imagine going through life and not talking about your issues? Like, we talk about issues with each other.
Yeah.
I talk about issues with my family, and I've been a bit more open, which we'll talk about later, with my parents, you know, my sister, my brother. Imagine holding that all in and never telling anybody. You'll be an emotional wreck.
Yeah.
You don't know how to handle it. You've never spoken to anyone. So of course, you know, it makes sense that, you know, you would, you know, go out this way, you know? So,
I mean, it's something, because I don't think a guy wants to even fathom the idea of messing up and waking up and being like, shit, I didn't finish the job. Like, this is even the guy's mentality, like, should have got the job done right. You can't even do that right.
Yeah.
They would be so hard on themselves. And, you know, guys definitely, like, I learned about that was like, you know, a lot of guys are more susceptible to suicide. Like, you know, whether you're a person of color, whether you're a minority, whether you're a veteran, you're a part of the LGBTQ plus community. Hey, I practice on that, guys. But seriously, like a lot of guys in these certain
veterans too.
Veterans, yeah. So like a lot of these guys in these communities have suffered because they're getting more attacked mentally. You know, they don't have that space. Like a normal guy doesn't have that space on the regular basis. Now add all of this extra stuff, whether you're being discriminated, whether you're dealing with racism, whether you're dealing with like coming out to your family, whether you're dealing with PTSD from like all these like war acts or whatever, but like now you're supposed to just be like, suck it up, bud. You'll be all right.
And that's exactly how it works. Life is tough. Everyone's going through life. So I feel like a lot of times what happens is, of course, again, like I said, everyone's going through life. Everyone has their issues. So you're an open book to someone and they just tell you that's the way life is. Like, that's what it is. You know, that's so dismissive, you know, and now you're not going to want to open up to anyone and let them know what you're going through. Sometimes you just need someone that can listen. You know, there's literally people out here. They may not, they say, you know, don't judge me. I want to tell you the story. They might not even ask for your advice. They just want you to listen. After listening to you, they just say, well, that's life. What are you going to do? That's not life. That's not life.
I hope that's not life.
Yeah, but that's what everyone says. That's just life. That's what it is. Because you sound like a complainer and you sound like you are weak, and that's not how it should be.
Sound like you can't handle your shit.
Yeah.
And people are like, oh, you're a grown man, you're over the age of 18, you could go to war right now, you could go kill another man, and it's like, but you're complaining about what? You're tired at work? You're behind like nobody wants to hear that. They just want to be like, what are you going to do about it? And that's the part where it's like, of course we got to do something about it, but I don't want to just be like left without a way to vent this out. Like,
Yeah.
and I think like that's why like the expectation on men is like, you know, okay, so growing up, like what did you think like a man was supposed to be?
Well, I look up to my father, obviously, and you know, he really didn't complain as much. I always reference, you know, work and even over the weekends. So his schedule during the weekday, wake up at 4 a.m., never complained. He came back home, didn't complain.
Yeah.
And like you said, he would just be on the couch, and he loved Judge Judy.
Oh, I love Judge
Judge
Judy
Judy.
too, though. Come
So
on.
I
That's a banger.
Never heard him complain. Where, you know, in the relationships I've had, you know, I come back home and I'm complaining. You know, so for him, I looked up to him. He didn't complain anything like that.
Good.
And in our household, we never even really talked about mental health. It's not until now we're really talking about it, where they're like, open up, talk to me, talk to me. You know, so times are changing a bit. Of course, they're older generation.
Yeah.
But
We got to teach them.
exactly, we have to teach them.
Teach your asses.
You know?
You caused our mental health to be this bad.
But before that, I don't remember anything mental health, any type of therapy, nothing. Just, you know, this is life. The life, they used to say life is tough. That's what it is, and that's it.
When I was growing up, you know, my father came later into my life, which was, you know, I appreciate him so much for being there. But as a kid, like growing up with a single mom in the beginning, it kind of feels like, okay, the only reference you have for how a man is supposed to be are the people around you. You know, guys are, you know, manly men. They take care of the family. They come and supply the bills. They don't show emotion. If you get hurt, you walk it off. And it's like, hey man, I like to skateboard, and not like really skateboard, but I had like a little fake skateboard as a kid. I like the scooters. I like to rollerblade, bicycle, and like if I would fall, yeah, if I hurt my knee, I'm gonna cry. But it's like, don't cry. You know, men don't cry. And it's like, well, what do you mean men don't cry? Because I'm hurt. Like physically, I'm hurt, not even on the inside. So let's talk about being physically hurt first. You're not expected to do that. But then mentally, I'm also expected just to be like, oh, it's not even physical, so why are you crying? Like,
yeah. And you know, I think some part of it is preparing you for the harsh life, right? But there has to kind of be some balance there.
There does.
So, you know, I
yeah.
understand maybe they're like, you know, suck it up. You know, it's just a cut, you know, because they've been through it already. They're adults, we were kids, and there's going to be even worse things, more pain that's going to happen to you later on in life. But there has to be a bit of balance. You disagree?
No, I'm just thinking that they should know better. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So if you went through life as a man and you realize that you didn't have that, why wouldn't you try to instill that? Which men are doing now, which is great.
Yeah,
Thank you for those who are instilling it. But like, I'm talking about like people in my life and people around us who are still stuck on that mentality of like, no, a man is, you don't do this, you don't do that. Like, this is how a man is supposed to be. And like, granted, there are some good points of that. You should take care of your family. You should be financially stable. You should be good overall, but at the same time, we're not robots.
Yeah.
Like, come on.
But I also want to bring up this point. Not saying that I like disagree or anything, but what would you say to someone that says, well, we're showing some tough love, right? As in, sure, like I understand that, you know, we want to, you know, mental health is important, you know, like you said, you get cut, you know, physical, it hurts, and then you start crying, and someone says, well, it's just tough love to tell them like, hey, like brush that off, right?
Yeah, you'll be
know
fine.
What I mean?
I think tough love is definitely needed, but I think love is needed too. You
Yes.
know, like, so the balance between tough love, like normal love, where it's like, hey, yeah, there are some things that you kind of, hey, you know what? You had a hard day. I understand. You know,
Yeah.
you want to talk about it, let it out. Yeah. But at the same time, tough love would be like, you come home every day and complain about this job.
Yeah.
I don't want to hear it. I want you to do something about it. That's tough love.
Tough
like, you
love.
know,
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
but
Because you're not dismissing it there.
Yeah,
You know, you're not
exactly.
saying, that's just life, man. At least you're saying, man, listen, at this point, you're talking about this so much, go do something about it.
Yeah.
You know, so it's not as dismissive.
yeah.
Okay.
And
yeah.
I think it gives a space to be like, hey, so like, I hear you. I've been listening to you, but you know, listening is great, but action is also beautiful.
Yes.
You know, because if you're not going to do anything about it, it's kind of like, well, we're left in this cycle of like, you know, a man, whatever, or a human. If you're in a situation where you're not happy, like, shouldn't you try to get yourself out of that situation? I know we're creatures of habit, but
Yeah.
create a new habit for yourself, man or woman. But right now, men, like, if you're stuck and you're grinding and you're upset and it's really like causing you to have problems, pick yourself up, yeah, but at the same time, if you need that space, get that space, you know, like, no.
Genius. How it all connects. Habits, our last video.
Whoa.
It all
Shameless plug,
connects.
go watch our last video. But it's true, man, you know, those types of like moments when you're a guy and growing up, and like, you know, I'm so thankful that we're in a space where we have mental health and that we're talking about it. You know, men suffer from depression, anxiety, PTSD, all these problems that not normal people, but like people, women, children, they go through. Well, kids grow up and be men and are like gonna be men, you know.
Yeah.
So when they grow up, those problems don't always go away. So, you know, like, I know you have a daughter, but if you had a son, would you talk to your son about therapy, you know?
All the time. Well, even with my daughter,
Yeah.
I would. Of course, I think that I would want her to be an open book and let her be able to talk to me about anything. I think that's a lot of issues that we have. I think our generation might be a bit better.
Please.
Please, yeah. Because I feel like we're more friendlier. Of course, that's a whole debate and another
Yeah.
discussion. I feel like we're friendlier with our children,
Yeah.
where we want to know everything, you know, talk to us because we've been through it.
Yeah.
And I was raised in like a Caribbean household, you know, very strict. You know, they're different. They just came from the island. They don't know
Yeah.
about any of this stuff,
I
mental
hear
health,
that.
all of this. But I think that with my daughter, future children, I'm gonna tell them, be an open book. Let me know, and then of course I would recommend therapy, because when I grew up, therapy, like, something's wrong with you. Like,
You got problems.
Yeah, you got problems. You're crazy. Why do you need therapy?
Ugh, that
But
big one.
everyone needs therapy, and there's different forms of therapy,
Yeah.
right? It doesn't necessarily have to be sitting on someone's couch or something. You know, you have therapy and you know, maybe a church that you go to, music, you know, just speaking with somebody. There's different types of therapy, of course.
Well, I think you brought up a good point, which was like church, because being, you know, like being in a household where like Catholicism and like a Hispanic background is there, like the only person that ever talked to me about therapy before was my dad, and he used it in a positive way.
yeah.
Even before he talked to me about that, though, I have had experience, like, I think like 1 or 2 times, like 2 or 3 times actually, like going to a therapist, but that was because I was a problem, you know, or a problem child, or I was acting up. And yeah, like we sat there and like we chopped it up for like a little bit, but it's also like it was just there because I did something bad, you know. It wasn't there
Yeah.
like, hey, like this is normal. And the whole point of being like raised in a home where like you don't even talk about therapy or you don't talk about your mental health, that causes so much delay on how you take care of your mental health.
Yeah.
And then they're like, oh, just pray on it. I would love to pray on it. Mind, body, soul. Okay, great. So forget the mind, just focus on your body, go and work out, go and do what you got to do. But then the soul, oh, your priest can take care of that. You can go and do your confession, you can pray on it. Just pray. And being a man of faith, and I know you are also a man of faith, like we know that prayer is needed, prayer is important, but at the same time, like your priest is not a psychologist, you know? They cannot diagnose and be like, hey, Diondre, I think you have borderline personality disorder.
Yeah, they can.
You're actually a compulsive liar. But like, it's important to at least know, like, you can feed your soul in one way, you can feed your body in another way, but you have to feed your mind in a different way. So like, yeah, like bringing up habits, like we talked about in our last video, you could meditate, you could journal, you could definitely bring out like a little bit of things when it comes to like creating good habits. But at the same time, where do you go when you're in trouble? Where do you go when you're having an episode, a distress moment where you're like, oh my God, I'm gonna lose my mind because I'm backed up on work, I'm having problems with my wife, you know, where am I gonna go to? The bottle? Like just the bottom of a bottle?
Not good.
You know, like it's, or am I gonna spaz out and have like aggression? Like guys are expected to be manly or whatever, not show emotion, but then when guys are aggressive and mean all the time, it's like, oh, he's too much. It's like, you don't want me to cry, you don't want me to be angry, like I'm just.
Yeah. And some people, I think they go through life not knowing that they may be depressed. And there's actually a few signs, right? One of them is hopelessness and negativity. So I think I don't know about you, but I definitely had a time where I was negative and hopeless. How about you?
We all do. I mean, there, of course, like I think as a human, it's normal to be negative and hopeless sometimes, but to like stay in that rut and to not get out of it, like, yeah, like when you feel like I've done everything and I can't come out of it, you know, between work, between our relationship, like I'm just there and I'm like, oh man, like what do I do now? So it's something that is normal, but then again, as a guy, you're expected to fix it. You're expected to just thug it out, work it out, whatever you want to hear, you know, whatever you were told as a kid, like that you're expected of this way. Okay, but those expectations weren't always set with they were set with good intentions, but not set with like a longevity on how that might affect you later down the road.
So it seems like you are giving an example of a person that may know that they're, you know, depressed or hopeless and negative, because you're mentioning like, how do I get out of this rut? So they know they are, but there's some people that may not know. I don't know if that makes sense. Like
they're just negative all the time.
Not all the time, but you know, the majority of the time they're negative and hopeless, but they don't know, right? There's other signs that we have listed here, of course. Yeah. But you know, I think that sometimes you may not necessarily know until like an outside person lets you know, like, hey, what's going on? You know, that's just an experience that I had.
I think people sometimes just either like they cope it with humor, like I cope my shit with humor, you know, or like they abuse drugs, alcohol. That's a big way to like kind of just, you know, find your mental health at the bottom of a bottle. Like, okay, let me just drink my problems away. I'm always going out. Or like guys who are just like, you know, they're upset in their relationship, they're gonna go and be promiscuous and just go and like cheat, go and do all these things. Or, oh, you know, you hate your job, so you just crash out and just like, you curse your manager out every time. And there's always like, oh, who's the problem? It's always a problem with them, not you. And it's like, you need to do some reflection, my boy.
Withdrawing from friends and family is a very big one too.
Yeah, you get closed off.
You get closed off. People that you're very close to, you just kind of distance yourself. Maybe you don't talk to them as much as you do anymore. Or again, maybe they see changes in you, but you know, you may not necessarily see it. You know?
I mean, even the physical ones where you're like letting yourself go, which I think there's a difference between letting yourself go and just kind of getting older. You know what I mean? So if you saw a guy that was always in the gym, always taking care of himself, like, you know, not to say that like, oh, now you just see him and he has like a little belly, like, oh, he gained some weight, you know, it is what it is. Different schedule, different life, like it happens. But we're talking about like letting go, like you're like, damn, he looks rough. Like, and I'm not talking about like, oh yeah, like, he's just like, you know, maybe balding, because again, that's another thing that like guys go through, and it's like, oh my god, he's bald. Like, okay, I'm talking about like, again, key signs: letting yourself go. You don't do the things you used to do. You're acting in a different manner. Like, you know, you don't take care of yourself now. Like, it's just, it shows. You're not you physically and mentally, and the people that would know it the most are your friends and family. Oh yeah, they could tell. It's so easy. They can tell. They can see differences in your face. They see the high cortisol, puffy. They see the puffy face. It's true. Just read you like a book. Even habits. You know, this is something that you've always loved to do. Now we see that you don't do it anymore. You become less interested in your appearance. You know, maybe you just wear like 2 shirts and like jeans. Like, you don't have. What? No, I was just thinking like, I know you're wearing sweatpants, but I was be like, if you're wearing sweatpants every day, bro, like every day. Hey, right now is okay. I mean, I got on joggers. Trust me, these are fake sweatpants. But
They're
like
nice,
seriously,
though.
thank you. And your sweatpants are nice. But like, you know what I mean? Like if you see this like person, like they used to like, you know, care about their appearance, like
Yeah.
how you look to society, how you come out. And it's like, but D, if I saw you in sweatpants every single day and then you're trying to pull up to work in sweatpants.
Yeah.
And
That'd
you're
be,
like, are you okay?
Yeah.
Like it just shows like like it's showing like your insides are now coming out.
Exactly. And again, they may not necessarily know that you're just walking life. You're just not just put this on. You just don't realize it for some, you know.
And I think like caring about appearance, like it's not always superficial. Like yeah, like sometimes you just go out to the supermarket and you're wearing sweatpants, or we're here chilling, you know, we're just hanging out. You guys aren't seeing our pants, so yeah, our tops look good. Who cares about our pants right now? But I'm talking about like you said, you're wearing the same t-shirt and pants all the time. You're not showering. Maybe you're just always coming home and going to sleep, sitting on the couch, like you're just eating your problems away. Like, you know, like seeing like a little pot belly versus like a big belly. Like, bro, those beer bellies are so easy to tell. Those alcoholic bellies are, shit, look at this guy. He's looking slim.
I lost 20.
That mental health is on point. Let's go.
It is.
But seriously, like, you know, it shows, and it takes time, you know, to like kind of see it on the physical. But if you don't take care of yourself at some point, it's gonna come out on the external. Your internal can only hold it back for so long, where it's like, I've been noticing.
And that's exactly what happened to me.
Oh,
All of these things that we're talking about on the list, I could go through each of them.
yeah.
And I went through each and every one of them. Hopelessness and negativity. So, you know, when you're around certain people that are negative, you also become negative.
Yeah.
And I really wasn't realizing it. Hopelessness and negativity. This person is negative. I'm now negative.
Yeah.
I'm not thinking about anything positive. This was probably 2 years, maybe 2 years ago, in the span of 2 years. I mean, I was not me, right?
Yeah.
I was away from my friends and family. They noticed it too, but I think they didn't really say anything because I was away from them. So
They can't tell if you're not around.
exactly, and I was just not me. A lot of days I would come home after work, just kind of like just upset, like don't bother me, like I don't want to be bothered. Yeah, like, and I'm not
Leave
talking
me
about
alone.
I'm not talking about the normal person that's like, oh, after work I'm just like no, I was like really like, don't bother me.
Put up the wall.
You have all of these bills. There's a certain expectation and requirement, you know, as like the man being in the apartment and, you know, really paying all the bills. And at that time I was getting paid less.
Yeah.
I was getting paid way less,
Yo,
almost
his-
half the amount.
His eyes twitchy right now. I can tell he's getting serious.
Almost half the amount that I make now, and paying every bill, rent almost over, well, it's like $2,000. You know, groceries. You have your gas. All of these things. So I was completely depleting my money with bills. Then requirements. You know, again, I was away from my family. You know, living in a household with someone, there's certain expectations in the household. You know, when to come home, and I'm okay with that. I wasn't out like 4 a.m., 5 a.m.
Yeah.
Like there's certain expectations to be home. Things have to be this certain way. You know, talking about work, all I got was, well, you know, that's life. You can't complain about it. That's what it is.
It's the
know
life
what I
you
mean?
created.
So now I'm in my head saying, well, this is the norm. The norm is to, we could curse on here?
Always.
Yeah, like
It's our podcast.
just to get fucked. Like
Yeah.
that's what it is. Like, hey, you know, I'm this negative person. This is my life. You know, life is miserable. So that's just how it is.
Yeah.
So that's the norm for me. I was thinking, well, this is life. I just go through it. That's what it is.
This is the next 40 years of my life
Yeah,
where I just show up, pay out, and
Yeah.
shut up.
So then, also letting yourself go. I weighed almost over 260 pounds. To this day, I weigh, this is really like transparent. Today I weigh 239.
Yeah.
239. Like, I never had like a full grown. You guys could look at the clips. This is real transparency. Like I had like a full beard.
Yeah.
You know, I had my twist. Like it was like my face looked like chubby, high cortisol, and then also I was also a person that used to like shop. Like I used to like getting shirts, pants, shoes, things like that. Like things that I like to shop.
Yeah, of course.
Completely stopped. Like not even like one shirt or anything. So I don't know when I know, maybe after, because of course I was in a relationship and separated, and it's not until after that I'm like, fuck, like what was I doing? Like look at my, like, I look at old pictures, that was not me. I'm like,
oh, that's
God,
so funny.
I'm like, God, if you look back on our Instagram, Mental Wealth Talks, you scroll all the way down, wearing like a big orange jacket. I even had one where I was wearing a polo, and I'm like, man, look at me. Like, I'm sorry.
Look at this.
No, look at this. And then there's a one now, the 420 video. I'm comparing them.
Yeah.
Even my parents are like, oh my God, my gorgeous boy is back. They're like, oh my God, my grandma's touching my face. She's like, oh my God, look at this handsome boy. Things like that. And I'm just like, man, that wasn't me. Now I'm hanging out with my friends more. Like, I'm like, man, I miss y'all. Like, I didn't, like, I'm like,
The boys.
wow, yeah. Like, supportive. Like, of course, I'm going through things now. Like, everyone's like supportive. No, you got this thing. So I'm hearing positive things. I started reading the Bible again. All this stuff I stopped doing, like, I just couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
So I let myself go. I was very negative and hopeless. Same clothes, same type of clothes. Like I had one brown shirt that I was wearing. When I tell you we're going to baby shower, we're going to pop out Dave & Buster's, it was that old reliable brown t-shirt.
Yep, I hear that.
Old and reliable. I wore that t-shirt down. I love that t-shirt. Same t-shirt. Distancing yourself from family and friends. Exactly what I did. And now, guess who's there to support me? My family and friends. Like, come on. They're like, we'll take you out. Talk to me. They listen. And of course, action, telling me what I should do, right? As opposed to, that's just life.
Yeah.
So I've been through all of these things in the span of 2 years while still having, damn, this is like a whole... while still having, of course, my daughter, going to school for my master's, and now, and working these demanding jobs. So currently, of course, you still are stressed a bit, you go through it, but compared to that and where I am now, of course, again, there's still some hiccups and things like that, but that was really, really bad, and I didn't realize it. That's why I was telling you, how about someone that doesn't realize it? You know what I mean? Because you think it's normal.
Yeah.
So now you're walking as this is normal, this is what it is, when it really isn't. You know what I mean?
And to be honest, like...
That's end of story. Yeah.
Like, me as your friend who... Me and Diondre met at the lab where we worked at, so, getting to know you, and even though I didn't know what was going on behind the scenes, even as we became friends, we got closer, we were able to like connect on different things, and now obviously we've been doing this for a while. There was points where like you did seem like you were good, and little did we know behind the scenes you weren't good.
No.
Until you decided to open up and you're like, look, this is what's happening and I've been going through this, and it was like, why didn't you talk to us? Like, even and even if it's not like, if I'm not your first point of contact, like, is to let you know, like, you got people here to like support you and back you up, and like to let you know, like, hey, what you're going through is not normal. It's gonna be something that you can't come out of, but you're gonna have to like figure out a way to like remold yourself in a way. And from this side, I'm like, man, like, I didn't even know one of the people in my life that I like, I'll say that I'm like close with is like, damn, he's going through shit, and we all go through shit, but my boy was going through it, like, and it's, damn.
And that's why it's important, always tell people. Like, a lot of people, you may feel embarrassed by what you're going through, but really in my situation, you have people around you are telling you that that's what it is.
Yeah.
And kind of veering you away from telling other people this is what's going on, like living a like private life.
Yeah.
And that's not okay. You don't have to just, oh, you know, I'm within my space, I have a lot going on, and like I'm going to hold it up. Like, no, talk about it. Like,
It's
man,
fine.
I got in a damn, that's pretty harsh. But I got in a crash. I lost my job. This is going on. This is going on. This is
Yeah.
going on. If you hold it in, it's just going to be worse.
You're gonna
It's going to be
explode.
worse. You talk to somebody, of course, not just anybody, the right people.
Yeah.
Let them know, and then you'll your brain will open up and say, you know, you're still blessed. There's still great things. Of course, I went through all of this, but guess what? I have a beautiful daughter.
Yeah.
You know, I have an amazing friends and family.
Nice.
You know, I have a support system. Like, there's so many other things to think about and be blessed about.
For
And
sure.
I think, you know, we take that for granted.
Yeah.
If I didn't have my friends and family, I don't know what I would do. Of
Yeah.
course, I had a separation. Guess what happened? My parents, well, Diondre, just come back. We have a room here.
Got your back.
I went right back to my room. I put up my science posters. I got my microscope there.
You got Neil deGrasse on your wall.
So, like, you know, imagine if I didn't have that.
Yeah.
I have my friends, and I'm going to name them out. Jeff, Michael, of course you, OVO, Lou, all these people. His name is OVO.
Okay.
If I miss your name, I'm sorry. You know, like, I have all these people, and just supportive.
Yeah,
you
of
know?
course.
And imagine if I didn't have that.
Dude, you
know?
can't do anything in isolation, and you're not by
Yeah.
yourself. And if you don't have that type of support system, like, look for it. You know, if you don't have friends, if you don't have family, then go to group therapy. There's free sessions out there. You know, like, you can't afford it, like, go and try to find that community to give you that support. You know, and it's something that, like, again, we're all gonna go through, and this isn't like, oh, it happens once and that's it. Like,
Yeah.
oh, it's gonna happen again and again and again, and this is life. It's cyclical. Like,
But, you know, you've been through it before, so it might be a bit easier.
Hopefully.
Hopefully.
Yeah, hopefully.
Not, of course, I'm not going to say you won't go through it again, and, you
Yeah.
know, but at least you've been through it before. So this really strengthened me. So then I go through something, maybe I lose someone or whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
I'm always going to think in a positive light, because I was thinking negative and hopelessly. It's like when
Yeah.
you lose a relative, it's the saddest thing ever. But then, you know, what do you say? Well, they're in a better place. Yeah, they are in a better place, because this life is hell. This life, I mean, I'm saying under my breath, but this life is hell.
This guy.
So hell, yeah, they're in a better place. You know, you think more positive things rather than negative. So I've already been in this negative situation.
Yeah.
And, you know, now thinking positively. So when something else happens, you know, at least this is for me.
yeah.
You know, I think of it as a positive, you know, later. You know.
You got something to fall back on, man.
Exactly.
Like, you have that cushion, and, you know, you're not alone in this. And, you know, hopefully, whether it's your daughter or future kids, if you have a son, like, it's gonna be something that you can also kind of gift to them and say, hey, like, you know, this does happen, but this isn't all it's gonna be, you know.
Yeah.
And you can come back from this in a healthy way.
I feel like I took up a lot of the time.
No,
with
no,
my
trust
story.
me. I'm gonna get mine in, but, like, no, just kind of, like, also just staying on that topic of, like, that support and isolation, because, like, I feel like I've always had a good support system between friends and, like, my mom and, like, my dad, but at the same time, like, we all do that. We all, like, go in our own zone. You know, I have my own crash out moments, definitely for quite some times where, you know, being stressed out in an occupation where I felt like, yo, this is my life. Kind of like how you were saying, like, I didn't have to pay for all the things that you were, like, mentioning. Like, I didn't have a daughter. I didn't have to take care of a household. I just had my own responsibilities. Going through school, trying to figure out what I want to do in my life. Also dealing with, like, my own personal drama, like, whether it's my personal life, my home life. It's shit that you don't, it's not like you want to go out and tell everybody.
Exactly.
Like, hey, this is what I'm going through. This is what, no, man, like, I was finding my way and my happiness either by going out, abusing substances, like, all these different things, and, like, feeling that, like, it's not something, even though I felt like I was good and I'm a happy person, obviously. Like, I feel like I give that energy of, like, positivity. But that is sometimes also a mask, bro. Like, you put that on, you put that mask on, and, like, little do you know, like, I am literally on the edge of, like, what do I do? Who knows? Do I just say fuck it and move out of the state and just drive my car all the way up north and don't look back? Who knows? I'll figure something out. And if it gets to that point, it's like, well, why is running away an option? You know,
Yeah.
why is you ignoring your problems and not facing them? Like, dude, I was up to my ass. Well, not maybe up to my ass, but up to my fucking, past my ears, past my second ass on my head. Like, it's ass head. But like, definitely like up to my ears in debt, bro. And like, feeling like there is no way. There was a time that I didn't pay my car note for like 4+ months. I got people telling me that's gonna get repoed, like, and I'm over here like, do I have to hide my whip in somewhere? Like,
Don't worry, the U.S. is in like trillions of debt.
that doesn't make me feel better, Diondre, because nobody's gonna go and repo. Was it
US?
Donald Trump? Yeah, like, nah, we're gonna repo your Air Force One plane. Like,
yeah.
come on, like, so feeling like I just felt like I was drowning in like my own personal issues, and the relationships I was having were so unhealthy. So I let my own toxicness and my own like built up of like anger, depression, anxiety spill out into my relationships. It spilled out into not caring for my body. You know, DeAndre is taller than me, so he could weigh more. For me, my my fucking weight limit was, once I hit 220, I got asthma, guys. I couldn't breathe, DeAndre, without taking my inhaler. Like,
220?
220 for me was like, dude, my face, my body, everything was just disproportioned. And I haven't always been the healthiest guy, but at the same time, I've been in the gym. I've always liked to stay healthy-ish. But when I'm drinking, when I keep a bottle in the back of my car for,
A hot bottle.
I don't give a fuck. It's hot,
Yeah.
even better. It'll go down smoother. Like, oof. It won't go down smoother. That was just cap for the video. But seriously, like, you know, I used to have a bottle in my car where, you know, we would get off work. Okay, let's take shots in the parking lot. It wasn't just me. It was me and like other coworkers. But like, the fact was, I was finding people that were also in this rut, you know, like out after work hours, of course, you know, and we were just hanging out. We were just having a drink, until you realize a drink is a drink every day after work. You drinking? Yeah, I've taken shots before going to work out, bro. Like, and that is not, like, I say that as a funny story now, but now I think about it, I'm like, man, that's pretty like, that's pretty like.
So you see, you kind of like laughed. You probably laughed about it at the moment, but now looking back, it's like, man, that's an issue. But
I didn't recognize
you
myself.
didn't recognize it, and that's the worst. That's the worst thing.
Bro, and I'm a social drinker. I like to go out, have a good time. But when that good time was just like, yo, we got to keep the good times rolling. Good times, good times, good times. And it's like, are you okay? Like, you know, like, not everything has to be a party. Not everything like, bottle, this, like. And it's like, damn, dude, like, you realize, you know, your body's unhealthy. You gain so much weight. For me, it was like, I was really having trouble with like my asthma, being able to like not able to like breathe without an inhaler, that I was hitting like in the middle of the night, waking up in my sleep, grabbing the inhaler on the table and just, thank God, and let me go back to sleep. And then wake up, I fucking go up the stairs, like, I'm like,
that's
bro,
not it.
dude, and asthma needs to be something that is controlled. And like, when you're treating your body bad, your asthma will let you know. Like, asthma people definitely stand up for this one and comment if I'm true. But it was just a good way to show like myself, like reflecting now is like, wow, you've come so far from that, like, where I'm not drinking all the time. I am not using my inhaler all the time. I am in a better spot mentally. I'm not having toxic relationships anymore, which I'm happy, because for the most part, it takes two to tango, but like, I was really the bad one in a lot of those. So it's like, I realize now, like, damn, I was a product of my own choices. But at the same time, I was a product of things that I was keeping in and not addressing at that moment. You know what I mean?
And you know, part of it too is being around the right people.
Yeah.
Because, you know, miserable people enjoy company. You know? So I'm not saying that, you know, I don't know, just from my personal experience, where you don't know what other people are going through in life. They're probably just as depressed, going through something, and then you're depressed too. I just think that it just doesn't work out. I think you have to have some type of like positive people around to kind of help.
And the support system is beautiful. Like, I've had best friends that like will give me advice, and they'll call me out on like, hey, like, you know, you used to do this, but you're not doing that anymore. Like, hey, what's going on? I see that you act different. I have healthier relationships where I can have an open communication system and feel like it's like, okay, like, this is so healthy. I don't know how to act, but I'm also like, oh, this is what normal is? Like,
Yeah.
oof, that's crazy.
So did you feel like at that time that was normal? Kind of like how I was mentioning, it was like, well, this is normal. This is what it is.
I just
Or
felt
did you?
I felt like just the bad decisions were always like, this is just life. Like, you're always going to make bad decisions and you're never going to get ahead. And you're always going to have this like pattern of like, you're doing good and you're doing bad. And then you're doing bad and then fuck it. And then like, you'll try to do good and it's just bad, bad, bad. And like, that's what I saw in a lot of like people growing up, between friends, families, like even toxic TV shows. Why not? Like all that shit. Like, you know, they promote that like, oh, unhealthy living and unhealthy mental like life.
Yeah. I don't watch reality TV as much either.
Mm-hmm.
That toxic TV. It's you stop doing certain things, you know, and I actually have not. I know in the last episode, The Habits.
Yeah.
That's an update. I have not watched. I watched 60 Days in.
There you go.
A few episodes, but
That's
I don't
all right.
watch any like.
That's all right.
You know, multiple
It's not
of
as
them.
much as before.
Not as much as before.
And I mean, because that's something that you know you can only take in increments, you know? Like
Yeah.
if you're not over here trying to, I'm not over here trying to hit the club or get drunk or always get like blasted every time. But yeah, if you do it sporadically in moderation, you're having a good time, maybe you just want to unwind, detox, okay, cool. But when you're detoxing constantly, you got some problems, man.
Yeah.
Like you got something going on deeper. So bringing that to the surface, we're going to talk about prevention. Like, how do you take care of this? You get that support system.
Yep.
You make sure that you can be there for your people. And if you can't be there for your people, give them the resources. Like we talked about, like, hey, give you a judgment-free zone where you can talk and like communicate, and I could just maybe listen to you, bro. You don't want to talk to me? Yo, go talk to a therapist, go to group therapy, get around other people, you know, like
Yeah.
there has to be that outlet for where you can like feel okay. And like, you know, like what was one of the biggest things that you think helped you get out of that like mindset or that like zone?
I think it was right, you know, of course, right after separation. It was kind
Yeah.
of forced.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I thought if that didn't happen, I probably would still be in that situation.
Okay.
Because, you know, that's when my friends and family, you know, found out about everything and I got taken back. And after that, that's when I reflected and said, wow, I believe that what I was going through was not normal. So it was kind of, you know, it's kind of forced. I didn't break out myself. It's weird. It's, you know, something had happened, and then after that happened, that's when I had that realization once I was back around, like, you know, more positive people.
Yeah.
The support systems that I have, and of course, you know, I'm in like a new relationship with positive people.
Yeah.
That's what really helped.
It spills into
know,
you, bro.
Because I wasn't me. I was really isolated, just with a few people. But then once I came back, you know, and it's all about even values, you know, in relationships, being with the right people. I don't know. I'm just lost for words. it's just wild how it happened. I was just kind of forced out of it, you know.
And now that you can look back and say like, wow, that wasn't me, I'm in a better spot, it makes you really appreciate where you're at now.
Exactly. So a lot of the things I was doing before, I'm not doing. Like I said, the reality TV thing, that was during a dark time. I don't do that anymore. You know, I'm back to like, you know, when I get my check, maybe I'll get a new shirt or something, spoil myself a bit, you know, cleaning up my beard, things like that. I try to get haircuts, get multiple clothes, or I would even like, if I'm going out somewhere, I would like put together a fit, like, you know, go shopping. Okay, I want to look nice, because when you dress good,
you feel
good. When you look good, you know, all that stuff. And, you know, even like reading more. I opened back up my second book that I'm trying to write. So now I'm doing things that like,
shameless plug. What's the first book called?
A Paradoxical Life, Where Do We Come From? It's a philosophical book discussing the origin of life and then other philosophies for where we may have come from. So it's a bit of biochem in there, some spirituality, some philosophy. So if you're into that, check that out. Link in the description.
Diondre Monpoint.
Yes, Diondre I Monpoint.
That. So you're starting your book again, like these things that you know bring you joy, like you're bringing it back.
Because again, in that dark time, I wasn't doing a lot of the things. Like even my poor family just seeing me like, this is not him. Like this is not him. Like he's walking with, you know, distress. He's walking with depression. Like
That
this
weight.
is not this. The weight, the chubbier face, you can tell. Like you can see in someone's eyes. Like, I know you said you wasn't
I was
able
about to say, please.
Huh?
Like,
Are
I
you
did not
looking
mean
into
like
my
physical
eyes?
weight. Not like physical weight, but yeah, I get what you mean too.
Oh.
Like, I mean, like just the weight that you're carrying with all that stuff on the
Yes,
inside.
yes,
But
yes.
it can transpire into physical weight too,
Yes,
you know?
yes. And I know you, like, you may have not seen it, but I gotta show. Did I show you before and after pics?
I don't think so, but I could just tell like by looking at you, you know?
I gotta show you. It'll be
Nice.
like, yeah, and you'll see the brown shirt too that I used to wear a lot.
You gotta put it on now and be like,
Fucking
look at
hate
the
that.
difference.
Fucking hate that shit. I threw it in the dumpster. No, I threw out all my old clothes.
Nice.
It was that deep.
Good. Start fresh,
I
bro.
threw out everything.
Yeah.
I started brand new. So
Good.
I went back to my parents' house. I kept no clothes. Maybe like, you know, few, but
Yeah, of course.
everything I threw out.
That's
Oh
real.
my God, that's a nice shirt. No, I just threw it out. I threw it out because it's like a like
Damn,
a
you
new
didn't
beginning
donate
thing.
it? We won't talk about Diondre right now. Yeah, you did.
I did a beach cleanup.
Okay.
I did a beach cleanup. So I didn't donate, but I did a good merit
Nice.
in the past month.
Good,
it was not
good.
donating the clothes, but I did some good stuff.
Nah, I feel you.
And then after this video, guys, we're actually going to do a 5-mile run here at NSU. A 5-mile
my mental
run.
health isn't that good, guys.
I don't know if you guys can hear the kids screaming in the background, but they're actually playing a soccer game. And thanks to RJ, he said he signed us up already, and we're gonna do a 5-mile run.
Yeah, I'm gonna watch him do the first 5 miles, so then I can know what path we're taking. You know, being able to reflect on those things, like you said, like having the good support system, getting back into habits that you do enjoy. Like, you know, for me, it was working out. For me, it was also like getting back into like, or not just getting back into it, but like establishing like a good faith center as well, to be like, there is somebody above me. There is something that's like bigger than me, whether you want to call it God, universe, Buddha, Allah. Like, you gotta have that faith system to believe that there is gonna be a better hope for something later down the road. Because if not, you will stay stuck in that road, in that rut, and like you won't get anywhere into a different mindset. And it's kind of like, you know, like you starting fresh, quitting a job. If you got to quit that job, quit that job. If you got to leave that relationship, leave that relationship. If you got to go and cut people off, cut them off. You know, like, this is so you can do better, so you can be a better version of yourself. And like, you know, specifically to the men out there, you know, like, you don't have to carry that weight on you. We don't have to carry that weight on ourselves. You know, like, the expectation of what we do as men is going to be set by what we think is going to be healthy for us, not what society tells us to do.
Oh, that was fucking deep. Say that again.
I can't remember.
That was good. It's
But-
not set by society. It should be set for
By us,
By
what we
us.
think is healthy, you know.
exactly.
And honestly, like, again, sometimes you got to get checked. Maybe what you think is healthy is not really healthy for you. Maybe what we think is like, no, it's fine. I'll get through it. I'll be fine. Like, okay, but you're not, you know. I can see these factors in you that are showing that you're not doing okay, but you need that support system, and you also need that reflection. So if this is calling to you in any type of way, take time to reflect. Go take a drive. If you can't drive, go take a walk. If you don't got legs, put on some headphones, put on, I don't know, white noise, brown noise, whatever it is, and like, give yourself that space to be like, what do I need to do to get myself in a better spot? Because unfortunately, nobody's going to do it for us.
Yeah, and don't feel selfish about it either. I think that's the issue too.
Mm-hmm.
You're trying to appease other people, and you know, it's, you know, take care of yourself, your mental health. So,
And, you know, taking care of ourselves and our mental health, it doesn't come at an easy feat. So like,
No.
definitely look for those resources. We'll link some resources in the description. You don't want those resources, go on your local community, you know, go into your local community, go to, you know, your friends, your family, your church, group sessions, go try to get a therapy session. Like, mental health is not just for men, it is for everybody. But to the men out there who do feel like they're going through it and they have no way out, we found a way out, and we're gonna have to find a way out later. So instead of just us continuing the stigma of men are not supposed to cry, men don't have mental health, men are just always like, no, we're breaking that. We're gonna break that. We're gonna bring it into the newer generation and teach ourselves that, like, there are healthier ways to get out of this, and there has to be healthier ways to maintain this, because this can't be all that life is, bro.
not at all. There's way more to it.
Mm-hmm.
So with that, That's Men's Mental Health Month.
Men's Mental Health Month, June 2025. Appreciate it, love it. Go talk to your uncle, your homeboy, whoever it is, a random guy on the street, and just ask him, you good? Is life, well, don't say it like that. You good?
Yeah.
Go check him.
Yeah.
But, you know, how you doing? You know, everything in life has been good. So, you know, just open up that space and just listen. Listen, because then you could really get a lot from somebody just listening.
Exactly.
And we're on the road to 500 subscribers. So please remember to subscribe, like, and follow. We
All of
are
that.
482 followers away. So, you know, if you guys like the content, thank you for making it to the end. Like we said before, we're just here talking about life.
Making it a bit easier.
A little bit easier. You know, we're just adults, male adults in our almost 30s.
Almost
oh my
30s,
gosh.
going
but
to 30.
hey, if we can be of some service to you, that's what we're here for. So thank you so much for watching.
Yep.
I'm RJ.
And I'm Diondre.
And we'll see you next time.
Peace.
Deuces.
That was good.
Men's mental health.